I didn't report him. I didn't argue. I didn't even defend myself. I just stopped reminding him about one thing. And 3 days later, everything he built collapsed. If you've ever had a coworker take credit for your work, hit like, because this one is personal. The hotel always looked different at night. Not quieter, just emptier. Like the building itself was holding its breath. The lobby lights were dimmed just enough to feel soft, but not enough to hide anything. Beige walls, polished floors, and that faint smell of industrial cleaner mixed with cheap coffee that had been sitting too long. The clock behind the front desk read 11:47 p.m. I leaned back slightly in the office chair, stretching my fingers after finishing a guest check-in. My shoulders were tight. They always were around this time. Night shift wasn't hard. It was repetitive. And repetition is what wears you down. Not the workload. The pattern. Same doors sliding open. Same forced smiles. Same have a good night that nobody actually heard. And then, there was Eric. Eric didn't walk into the shift. He drifted into it, like he had nowhere else to be, and didn't really want to be here either. "Yo," he said casually, dropping his bag behind the desk. No eye contact. No urgency. Just existing. I gave a small nod. "Hey." He glanced at the screen. "Busy?" "Not really. Couple late check-ins." "Nice," he said, already pulling out his phone. That was Eric. He was never bad at the job. He just avoided actually doing it. At first, I told myself it was fine. We all have different work styles, right? Some people move slower. Some people need reminders. Some people just need time. But over time, you start noticing patterns. And patterns don't lie. Night shift had a rhythm. A checklist nobody really talked about, but everyone expected. Wipe down the coffee station. Refill cups, lids, sugar packet. Restock keycards. Print reports. Prep breakfast area. Move waffle batter from freezer. None of it was hard, but all of it had to be done. And if it wasn't, morning shift made sure you heard about it. Around 1:15 a.m., I walked over to the coffee station. Sticky. Again. I pressed my fingers lightly against the counter. Still tacky from spilled sugar or syrup. I turned my head. Eric was sitting behind the desk, scrolling. "Hey," I called out calm. "Did you wipe this earlier?" He didn't even look up at first. Then, casually, "Oh, I thought you did." A pause. I stared at the counter. Then back at him. "No," I said slowly. "I was doing check-ins." "Oh," he shrugged. "My bad." No movement. No attempt to get up. Just acknowledgement. That was the first time something clicked. Not anger. Not yet. Just awareness. He wasn't forgetting. He was choosing not to do it. I cleaned it. Of course I did. Because leaving it would only make things worse later. And that's how it starts. You fix one thing. Then another. Then another. Until suddenly, you're doing everything. The automatic doors slid open with that soft hydraulic hiss. A cold breeze followed a guest inside. 2:32 a.m. Dead hours. Eric leaned back in his chair. Feet almost on the desk. "Man, this shift is boring," he muttered. I didn't respond. I was printing the audit reports. Paper slid out slowly, the machine humming in the silence. Then, "Hey, did you refill the key cards?" I paused. Turned slightly. "No. That was your side tonight." "Oh," he said. And then, nothing. Seconds passed. Then a full minute. Then 2. He didn't move. Didn't stand. Didn't even pretend to. This wasn't laziness. This was strategy. If he waited long enough, I'd do it. Because I always did. Eric, I said calmly. Yeah. The key cards. He sighed. Actually sighed. Like I was asking too much. Yeah, I got it. But he didn't get up. Another pause. Another silence stretching thin. Finally, he stood up slowly, dragging his feet, like the task physically hurt him. It wasn't the task. It was the attitude, the delay, the expectation that I'd cave first. Why does this bother me so much? It's small. It's literally just key cards. But it's not about the key cards. It's about respect, or the lack of it. This is where everything really started. 5:10 a.m. Every shift. Same moment. Same responsibility. The waffle batter. Frozen solid in the back freezer. If you didn't move it, it wouldn't thaw in time. And breakfast would be a mess. The back hallway was colder than the lobby. Fluorescent lights buzzing faintly. The freezer door creaked open. Cold air spilling out in a sharp wave. I grabbed the container. Heavy. Frost-covered. Every single shift, I'd walk past Eric, pause, and say, "Hey, don't forget the waffle batter." Every time, like clockwork. Not because I had to. Because if I didn't, we'd both get blamed. Yeah, I got it. Sometimes he'd do it. Sometimes I'd end up doing it anyway. But the key detail? He only remembered. Because I reminded him. Morning light was starting to creep in through the glass doors. Soft orange glow. Manager walked in. "Morning," she said. I nodded. Eric straightened up instantly. Different posture. Different energy. Like a switch flip. "Hey," Eric said smoothly. "Everything's set. We made sure breakfast prep was handled. Reports are done. Coffee's stocked." I blinked. Looked at him. He didn't even glance my way. Something tightened in my chest. Not anger yet. Just discomfort. This kept happening. Day after day. Small things. Little claims. Tiny rewrites of reality. This was the moment everything changed. The lobby felt warmer that morning. Crowded. Voices overlapping. The manager stood behind the desk, reviewing something. Eric leaned casually against the counter. Then he said it. So casually. So easily. "Yeah, sometimes she forgets some closing stuff," he said. "But I usually double-check behind her." Time slowed. My hands froze on the keyboard. I didn't turn around immediately. Because I needed a second. To process. Did he actually? After everything. I turned slowly. Looked at him. He avoided eye contact. Just slightly. But enough. That was it. Not the laziness. Not the small stuff. This lie. I didn't argue. Didn't defend myself. Didn't even correct him. Because in that moment, something else formed instead. Something quieter. Something sharper. Final line before cliffhanger. Something quieter. I just nodded slightly. Something sharper. And decided. Final line. I wasn't going to remind him anymore. I just nodded slightly. Because the one thing that made him look competent. I wasn't going to remind him anymore. And I was about to take the one thing that made him look competent was never his. I didn't argue. And I was about to take it back. Myself. I just stayed quiet. I didn't
And that's
argue.
when everything
I didn't
started
even
breaking.
defend myself.
Quick CTA.
I just stayed
If
quiet.
you've ever stayed
And that's
silent
when everything
and
started
let someone
breaking.
expose
Quick
themselves.
CTA.
This story
If you've
is for
ever
you.
stayed silent,
The doors slid
and
open
let
with
someone
that same
expose
soft
themselves.
hiss. But
this
something
story
felt
is for
different.
you.
The
Not
doors slid
outside,
open with that
inside,
same soft
in me.
hiss.
But
The air
something
felt
heavier.
different, like I
Not
was
outside,
walking into something
inside,
I had already
in me.
decided. The air
But
felt
hadn't
heavier,
fully accepted
like I
yet.
was walking into
Eric
something
was already
I had
there,
already decided.
leaning back,
but
phone
hadn't
in
fully
hand.
accepted
Same
yet.
posture.
Eric was
Same
already
energy.
there,
Leaning
same
back.
pattern,
Phone in hand.
Yo, he said.
Same posture.
Hey, I replied.
Same energy.
Short.
Same
Neutral.
pattern.
Controlled,
Yo,
he said.
Internal shift.
Hey, I replied.
Normally,
I would have started
neutral,
mentally running through the
controlled.
night.
Internal
What needs
shift.
to be done? Normally,
What he'll
I would have
probably
started
skip.
mentally
What
running
I'll
through
end
the
up
night.
fixing.
What needs
But
to be
tonight,
done? There was
what
a
he'll
gap,
probably
a
skip.
missing piece.
What I'll end
the
up
reminder.
fixing.
Slow
But
build.
tonight,
There was a
12:30
gap,
a.m.
a
passed.
missing piece.
1:15
the reminder.
a.m. 2
Slow
a.m.
build. Everything
12:30
played out
a.m. passed.
almost exactly the same.
1:15 a.m.
Coffee station
2 a.m.
ignored. Everything
Key
played
cards,
out almost
half empty.
exactly the same.
Trash, barely
Coffee
touched.
station
And
ignored.
every time,
Key cards
I noticed,
half empty.
Pause.
Trash
Waited.
barely touched.
And then,
and
did
every
my
time,
part.
only
I
my
noticed.
part.
Pause.
First test
Waited.
moment.
And then,
Around 2:40
did my
a.m.
part.
Eric
Only
glanced
my
up.
part.
Hey,
First
did we do
test
the coffee
moment.
already?
Around
Around 2:40 a.m.
That word again.
Eric glanced up.
I didn't even
Hey,
look at
did we
him
do
this
the
time.
coffee already?
No.
Pause. That word
Oh.
again.
I didn't
Silence.
even look at
Long
him this
silence.
time.
Extended.
Pause.
5 seconds.
Oh.
10.
Silence.
15. Long
I
silence.
could feel him waiting.
Extended. Waiting
5
for me
seconds.
to stand up.
10.
Waiting
15.
for me to fix it. I could feel
Waiting
him
for the
waiting.
pattern to
Waiting
continue.
for me to stand up.
Internal tension.
Waiting for me to fix
This
it.
is the moment.
Waiting for
This
the
is
pattern
where I
to
usually
continue.
give in.
Internal
This is
tension.
where I break the silence.
This is the moment.
But this time,
This is where I
didn't
usually
move.
give in.
Didn't
This is
speak.
where I break
Didn't
the silence.
even acknowledge
But
it
this
further.
time, I just
didn't
kept
move.
typing.
Didn't
Body
speak.
language shift.
Didn't even
Out
acknowledge
of the corner
it
of
further.
my eye, I
just
saw him
kept
shift.
typing.
Sit
Body
up slightly.
language shift.
Look at the
Out of the
coffee
corner
station.
of my eye,
Then
I
back
saw
at
him
me.
shift.
Confusion.
Sit up slightly.
Small. Look at the
But
coffee
real.
station.
Dialogue.
Then back at
You're
me.
not gonna.
Confusion.
He started.
Small.
I cut him off
but
calmly.
real.
Dialogue.
I'm doing reports.
You're not gonna.
Flat. He started.
No emotion.
I cut him off.
Internal
calmly.
thought.
I'm
Let
doing
him sit in
reports. Let him
Flat.
feel it. No
Result.
emotion. He got
Internal
up.
thought.
Slowly.
Let him sit
Annoyed.
in it.
Let
But
him
he
feel
got
it.
up.
Result.
And for the first
He
time,
got up.
He cleaned
Slowly.
it.
Annoyed.
Without being told.
But he got up.
The night dragged.
And for the first
but
time,
something had
he
shifted.
cleaned it.
Not
Without
dramatically.
being told.
Not
The night
obviously.
dragged.
But
But
subtly.
something had shifted.
The balance was
Not
changing.
dramatically.
Breakfast
Not
prep
obviously.
approaches. But
4:55
subtly,
a.m.
the balance was changing.
The clock ticked louder
Breakfast
now.
prep
Or
approaches.
maybe I was just hearing it
4:55
more.
a.m.
Every second
clock
felt
ticked
sharper.
louder now, more
Or
defined.
maybe I was just
This is
hearing
it.
it more.
The one thing.
Every second
The one
felt
moment
sharper.
that matters.
More defined.
5:05
This is
a.m.
it. The one
Eric
thing.
yawned.
The
Stretched.
one moment that
Looked
matters.
completely relaxed.
5:05 a.m.
Completely unaware.
Eric yawned. Flashback
Stretched.
loop.
Looked
Every single
completely
shift.
relaxed.
Hey, don't
Completely
forget
unaware.
the waffle batter.
Flashback
Every
loop.
single time.
Every single shift.
Yeah. Hey, don't forget the
5:09
waffle
a.m.
batter.
I stood
Every
up.
single time.
Walked past him.
Yeah.
Same path.
5:09
Same
a.m.
step.
I
Same
stood
moment.
up. Paused.
Walked past
This
him.
is where I would
Same
normally
path.
stop.
Same step.
Turn.
Say
Same
it.
moment. Decision.
Pause.
This
I
is
didn't.
where I would normally
I kept
stop.
walking.
Turn.
Freezer scene.
Say it. The hallway
Decision.
felt colder
I
than
didn't.
usual.
I kept
Or maybe
walking.
it was just me.
Freezer scene.
I opened the freezer.
The hallway felt
Cold
colder
air
than
hit
usual.
my face. Or maybe
Sharp.
it was just me.
Immediate.
I
The
opened the
container
freezer.
sat there.
Cold air hit
Frozen.
my face.
Untouched.
Sharp. Internal
Immediate.
dialogue. The container
You could
sat
just
there.
move it.
No
Frozen.
one would know.
Untouched.
This doesn't have
Internal
to become
dialogue.
a thing. You could
But
just move it.
this
No
is
one
the
would
thing.
know. I
This
closed
doesn't
the
have to
freezer
become
door.
a thing.
Slowly,
But
deliberately.
this is the
and
thing.
walked away.
I closed the
Morning
freezer
arrives.
door.
Slowly.
6:02 a.m.
Deliberately. Soft
And walked
sunlight
away.
creeping in.
Morning arrives.
Morning shift energy starting to
6:02
build.
a.m. Footsteps,
soft sunlight
voices,
creeping in.
The breakfast
Morning
attendant
shift
energy
walked in.
starting to build.
Cheerful,
Footstep,
unaware,
voices.
moment of
The
impact.
breakfast attendant
A few
walked
minutes
in.
passed.
Cheerful,
Then,
unaware.
freezer door,
Moment
open.
of impact.
Pause.
A few
Longer
minutes
pause.
pass. Then,
Voice from the back.
freezer door.
The guys.
Open.
Pause.
Internal spike.
Longer pause.
There it is.
Voice
Scene
from the back.
front desk.
The guys.
Eric looked up.
Internal spike.
Confused. There it is.
What?
Scene
Breakfast
front
attendant.
desk. Eric
The waffle
looked up.
batter. It's still
Confused.
frozen.
What?
Silence.
Breakfast
The words
attendant.
hung in the air.
The waffle
Heavy.
batter. It's still
Unavoidable.
frozen. Eric's
Silence.
face.
The
That
words
was the
hung
first
in the air.
crack.
Heavy.
Subtle.
But
Unavoidable.
visible.
Eric's
Eyes
face.
narrowing.
That
Brain
was the first
catching up.
crack. Dialogue,
Subtle,
deflection
but visible.
starts. Eyes narrowing.
I thought she.
Brain catching up.
He stopped.
Dialogue,
Just for a
deflection
second.
starts.
But it was
Oh.
enough.
I
He
thought
doesn't
she-
know what to say.
He stopped
because
just
for the
for a
first
second.
time. But it
He
was
doesn't
enough.
have me covering
He doesn't
it.
know what to
Manager
say.
enters
Because for the
right
first
on
time.
cue. He
Perfect
doesn't have
timing.
me covering
She
it.
stepped behind
Manager
the desk.
enters.
Looked between
Right on
us.
cue. What
Perfect
happened?
timing.
Pressure
She
builds.
stepped behind
Eric
the desk.
straightened
Looked
instantly.
between us.
Professional
What happened?
mode. Activated.
Pressure builds.
Dialogue
Eric straightened
first attempt.
instantly.
I thought she
Professional
handled
mode.
that part.
Activated.
He said quickly.
Dialogue.
Too quickly.
First attempt. My response.
I thought she handled
I didn't
that
speak.
part. He said
Didn't
quickly.
interrupt.
Too
Didn't
quickly.
defend.
My response.
I just stood there.
I didn't
Internal
speak.
strategy.
Didn't interrupt.
Let him talk.
Didn't defend.
Let him build it.
I just stood there.
Manager.
Internal
Calm, slow.
strategy. She looked
Let him
at
talk.
Then
Let him
said,
build it.
I thought
Manager.
you said you
Calm,
always
slow.
double check behind
She
her.
looked at him.
Impact.
Then said.
Silence. I thought you
Instant.
said you always
Crushing.
double check
Body
behind her.
language.
Impact.
Eric froze.
Silence.
Just for
Instant.
a second.
Crushing.
But it was enough.
Body language.
Eyes flicked.
Eric
Hands
froze.
tightened. Just for a
Posture
second.
stiffened.
But it was
Internal
enough.
satisfaction.
Eyes flicked.
Control.
Hands tightened.
There it is.
Posture
Not
stiffened.
loud.
Internal
dramatic.
satisfaction.
Just
control.
Truth.
There it is.
Aftershock.
Not
No
loud.
one yelled.
Not
No one
dramatic.
argued.
Just
But something
truth.
had shifted.
Aftershock.
Publicly. No one
Quietly.
yelled. No one
Permanently.
argued. But
You'd
something
think
had
things
shifted.
would explode.
Publicly.
They didn't.
Quietly.
That's what made it
Permanently.
worse.
Eric's
You'd think
new
things
behavior.
would explode.
He was
They
quieter.
didn't. That's what made it worse. Eric's new behavior. He was quieter. More aware. More careful. Small change. At 1:20 a.m., he wiped the coffee station. Without being told. Internal thought. Too late. But the story doesn't end here. Because one mistake doesn't break a pattern. It exposes it. Something felt off. Not wrong. Just different. First message. 2:13 a.m. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I checked it. Text. Did you forget something tonight? Confusion. What? I frowned. Looked around. Everything seemed fine. I replied. Who is this? No response. Same shift. Same time. Another message. Text. You're slipping. Internal spike. That wasn't random. That wasn't a mistake. He was on his phone. But something about his posture. Too still. Too focused. 5:30 a.m. Morning chaos building. Manager reviewing logs. Then, she frowned. Why are these reports incomplete? Internal freeze. What? I had done them. I knew I had. I stepped closer. Look. And my stomach dropped. Sections were missing. Edited. Changed. Internal collapse. No. No, no, no. This doesn't make sense. Eric's voice. Soft. Too calm. Maybe something got skipped. Moment. I turn to him. Slowly. Realization begins. The messages. The changes. The timing. He thought I was falling apart. He thought I didn't notice. He thought he was winning. But he forgot one thing. I had already stopped playing his game. Quick CTA. If you've ever been blamed for something you didn't do, watch this till the end.
Because this is where everything flipped. The screen glowed in front of me. Cold, unforgiving, incomplete report. Missing sections I knew I had written. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, but didn't move, because my brain was catching up faster than my body. Internal thought, deep, slow. This isn't a mistake. This isn't me forgetting. This is intentional. Body language. I straightened slowly, turned my head, looked at Eric. Really looked this time. Not the surface version. Not the lazy coworker. But the person behind it. Connection points. The messages. Did you forget something tonight? You're slipping. The timing. The edits. The confidence. Realization. He wasn't reacting. Because he wasn't surprised. Dialogue controlled. Did you touch the reports? I asked. Calm. Too calm. Eric. He blinked. Just once. Then leaned back. Shrugged. Why would I? Silence. A normal person would deny harder. Explain. Defend. But he didn't. Internal note. That wasn't denial. That was deflection. Manager, pressure. We need this fixed before morning rush, she said. I nodded, sat down, and started redoing everything. Internal strategy shift. Fine. You want to play this game? We'll play. I didn't confront him. Didn't accuse him. Didn't even look at him differently. Because now, I needed proof. Small change. I started documenting everything. Quietly. Carefully. Every report I completed. I saved a copy. Timestamped. Backed up. Scene detail. The office light buzzed faintly above me. Keyboard clicks echoed in the empty back room. Every action felt heavier. More intentional. Internal monologue. You wanted control? You wanted narrative? Let's see how you handle reality. Same shift. Same setup. Same fake normal. Bait moment. At 3:10 a.m., I finished a report. Saved it. Closed it. Then walked away. Waiting. I didn't go far. Just enough to observe. Observation. Eric glanced at my screen. Pause. Looked around. Then, move. Action. He sat at my station. Opened the file. Started clicking. Internal surge. There it is. Detail. His face was focused. Not lazy. Not careless. Intentional. Precise. Internal reaction. So this is who you really are. I waited. Let him finish. Let him commit. Confrontation, quiet. I walked back. Stood behind him. He didn't notice immediately. Dialogue. What are you doing? Reaction. He flinched. Just slightly. Closed the window too fast. Eric. Nothing. Just checking something. Internal confirmation. Got you. I didn't report him. Not yet. Because one moment isn't enough. I needed it to be undeniable. Final plan. That night, I created a full report. Detailed. Perfect. Then, I saved it. And waited. The trap. Same as before. Walk away. Watch. Repeat. He did it again. Opened it. Edited. Deleted sections. Internal calm. Good. Keep going. The break. This time, I didn't wait. Confrontation, louder. Stop. Freeze. He turned slowly. Caught. Fully. Silence. No excuses came. Because there weren't any left. Manager arrives. Timing. What's going on? Final reveal. I didn't rush. Didn't panic. Just opened my folder. Proof. Here's the original report, I said. Time-stamped. And here's the current one. Comparison. The difference was obvious. Painfully obvious. Internal stillness. This is it. Manager. She looked at him. Long. Hard. Eric. For the first time. He didn't have anything. No smooth explanation. No deflection. No breakdown. It's not like that, he started. But his voice cracked. Internal thought. Now it is. Chaos. Questions. Silence. Tension thick enough to feel. Collapse. Everything he built. That image. That confidence. Fell apart in seconds. Final moment. He didn't get fired immediately. But something worse happened. Shift. No one trusted him anymore. Aftermath. Days passed. Quieter. Different. Eric. He worked now. Actually worked. No shortcuts. No games. Internal reflection. Funny how that works. Final scene. Morning light filled the lobby again. Same space. Same desk. But everything felt lighter. Final thought. I never yelled. Never fought. Never exposed him early. Lesson. Sometimes, the best revenge is letting someone prove who they really are. Closure. Peace didn't come from winning. It came from knowing. I never had to become like him. Final CTA. If you've ever dealt with someone like this, drop a comment. And don't forget to subscribe. Because stories like this, they happen more than you think. /